Hello friends, welcome to my channel. In this video I'm going to discuss S.T Coleridge, as I already discussed his biography and writing style, but in this video I'll discuss Coleridge imagination and his treatment of nature and themes in Coleridge poetry. Right, it is very important. एंड चलो उर्दू में ही बात कर लेते हैं, समझने की कोशिश करते हैं एस टी कॉलरिज की इमेजिनेशन, उसके थीम्स वगैरह. सो बैकग्राउंड as I already discussed in his another video, right, his biography and writing style. So let's have a glimpse over it again. Belongs to like school of poetry, right, joined reformist movement, and apart from that I discuss all of them, all of these things in that video, right. So his personal life, he suffered from neuralgia and rheumatic pains, and that's why he is addicted to opium. And Coleridge is known to be the most imaginative of the poets, right. So Coleridge imagination is very important. We'll discuss it, right, especially with reference to his poem Kubla Khan, which is the product of poetic imagination is there, right. He believed imagination to be a vital force behind poetry. पोइट्री लिखने के लिए इमेजिनेशन का बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट रोल है. एंड ही डिस्कस 3 लेवल्स ऑफ इमेजिनेशन और टाइप्स ऑफ इमेजिनेशन. विल सी, ठीक है, हम देखेंगे. एंड एस टी कॉलरिज, this is, yes, lyrical ballads. I already told you it's very important in romantic poetry, and the romantic movement began with the publication of lyrical ballads with both by Coleridge and Wordsworth, right. The opened with the rhyme of Ancient Mariner by Coleridge, and it ended with the Tintern Abbey by Wordsworth. And it's a collection of lyrical ballads. Basically it's a collection of poems, right, nothing more than that. Don't confuse with that. And these poems set a new style by using everyday language and fresh ways of looking at nature. So nature is very important theme in romantic poetry, and I have already discussed the themes of romantic poetry, and I have already discussed Wordsworth as well, Wordsworth theory of poetry. And this romantic poetry is the also known as the poetry of revolt, because it revolts against its previous age, which is the neoclassical, right. And Wordsworth treatment of nature, how Wordsworth treatment of nature is different from that of Coleridge. We'll see that that is very important aspect to discuss. And further we'll see. So after the disillusionment with the French Revolution, that is not important, right. He was influenced by French Revolution as well, and his main works include Rhyme of Ancient Mariner, right, Cristobal, which is part of your course, I'll cover that. And Kubla Khan, which is the product dreamlike poem, right, which is the product of his poetic imagination. How his poetic imagination is reflected in this poem Kubla Khan, that is very important. And what is that, right. And Coleridge and Wordsworth, we'll compare them as well, right. And contents of Coleridge work include supernatural characters or supernatural elements, and its aim is to give a semblance of truth. And so Coleridge poetry style is archaic language, archaic, old, rich in sound devices, and main interest is creative power of imagination. That is very important, his creative power of imagination. And Coleridge imagination, right. We discuss this Coleridge imagination into 2 parts or 3 parts, you can say: primary, secondary, and fancy. So primary imagination is something that is creative, original, right, used unconsciously, or you can say that it is kind of something that has been revealed to you by nature, right. Creative, original, genuine, and unconsciously came to you, primary imagination. And human individual power to produce images, and the power to give chaos a certain order through your imagination. And Coleridge believes that the primary stimulus behind any poetry is imagination. So first poet imagine and then he write, right? And then secondary imagination, it is the poetic faculty. It's not the original, not the creative, though it's creative, not original or genuine, or it's more like a conscious process, poetic faculty, which not only gives shape and order to a given word, right? You are consciously giving shape and order to given words, but builds new world, right? And आप उर्दू में इस तरह भी कह सकते हैं कि प्राइमरी इमेजिनेशन इज़ लाइक आमद, उर्दू में कहते हैं ना आमद, मीन्स शेर व शायरी कुछ लोग नेचुरली लिख लेते हैं, उन पे आमद होती है, राइट, लाइक इकबाल, गालिब एंड मनी राइटर्स, ठीक है. एंड सेकेंडरी इमेजिनेशन, सेकेंडरी पोइट्री मीन्स अपने एफर्ट्स, यू हैव टू पुट एफर्ट्स to produce, right? And fancy is a kind of logical faculty and the mechanical ability the poet has to use devices like metaphors, alliteration, poetry in order to blend various ingredients into beautiful images. And Coleridge treatment of nature, it is very important, and how it is different from the Wordsworth treatment of nature. You need to understand that thing, right? And nature, so unlike Wordsworth, what is the Wordsworth concept of nature? He believes that nature, right, he treatment his outlook of he's more concerned with the outward nature, right, the mother earth, the nature and connection with it. And Coleridge, he focus on inner nature, our inner nature, right? And unlike Wordsworth, it is not a moral guide or source of consolation for Coleridge, the outer nature, but instead he focused on inner nature. And in his Ode, Dejection and Ode, we'll see how inner nature affect our behavior and actions and things like that. And it represents the awareness of the presence of ideal in the real and not identified with divine. And Coleridge saw it in a sort of Neoplatonic interpretation as the reflection of the perfect world of ideas, right? And then he believed that the material world is nothing but the projection of real world of ideas on the flux of time. So this is all. Thank you for watching.